Hey everyone, good morning. So I had the most scary experience I've ever had on a Disney vacation last night. And so I want to talk to you guys about it. I want to kind of decompress and tell you what happened, everything that happened, because it kind of was like one thing after another. They all kind of added up on top of each other. And I'm still like, I'm still shooken up about it. I'm still kind of shaking. And before I get started, I just want to let you guys know right off the bat that we're okay. We are okay. I don't want to string you along and have you guys be like, are you okay? Get to the point. What's going on? So I want to tell my experience. I want to tell my full story because it was so frightening to me and I'm still like shooken up and I really need to decompress. But I did want to let you know right off the bat that we're fine. Everyone is safe. Everyone is okay. But this was the scariest experience that I've ever had. Chris and I had a really, really kind of terrifying, shocking experience that happened to us when we were at Disneyland, staying at Disneyland. So if you guys want to hear that story, I will tell that story. Chris and I will tell that story to you. So let me know in the comments if you want to hear that story. But this happened last night at Disney World. So I'm at Disney World right now. Let me back up. Yesterday, Miles and I, my son, we spent the day at Universal Studios Orlando, and it was kind of starting to get rainy. It was kind of drizzling. We had our ponchos and stuff, but we were tired. And so we were like, okay, let's go back to the hotel and get settled. And we got back to the hotel. And then my mom, Sweet Dee, came in. And so she came to the hotel and we were just relaxing and hanging out. And I mean, we're right next to Disney World. Like we can practically see Expedition Everest from here. Like we're right here. And so we're just kind of hanging out, relaxing. And I get a notification that there's a tornado warning. A tornado warning had been issued for all of Orange County for Disney World. Oh, are you serious? And so we hurry and look outside. We hurry and, run outside. My mom goes outside and it's like perfectly calm. Like there's people swimming in the swimming pool, relaxing, like no one's panicked. Everything's fine. There's no wind. There's no nothing. Everything is calm. Like it's not even really raining. Like nothing is going on. But I also know in the back of my mind, like, okay, weather can change rapidly, and the tornado warning was issued until like the middle of the night. So I'm like, okay, well, we have to get there tonight, and then we'll be in the clear, and then we'll be safe. And I don't know anything about tornadoes. Where we live, we don't get tornadoes. It's never an issue. I mean, we've had maybe one tornado the entire time I, was growing up. And that was such a fluke event. It was so bizarre. It was such a weird thing. Like, it's just not in my blood. Like, I just don't know tornadoes at all. I know snowstorms. I just don't know tornadoes. So it was just kind of in the back of my head as we were going to sleep. I was just like a little concerned about it. I just was like, hey, we just have to get through the night and then we'll be okay. So we're tired, we get ready for bed, we all get tucked into bed. The place that we're staying at, we've got two separate rooms. So my mom and Miles were in one room. He wanted to have a sleepover with Nana, so they were in one room, and then I was in a room by myself. And at 12:38, middle of the night, I'm sound asleep. Like that Disney tired, or like that Universal Studios tired, where you're just exhausted and your body is heavy and you get into this really deep sleep. And I wake up to the worst, loudest, blaring sound I have ever heard in my entire life. And I shoot out of bed and I'm like basically screaming. I'm like, the worst alarm I have ever heard. And it is blaring and beeping and it is so loud, I can hardly even hear myself think. And I was in that deep, deep sleep. And so I'm kind of disoriented and I'm like, where am I? And the room is pitch black and I'm hearing this alarm. And so I shoot out of bed and I'm like screaming. And I think, tornado. Oh my gosh, it touched ground. Like it's here. This is an evacuation warning. Like we need to get out. And in my mind, I'm just starting to panic. I'm just totally panicking. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm gonna cry. It was just so scary. So we're in our hotel room and I burst out and I run out to the living room area, and then my mom comes out of her room and we're like, what's going on? And the alarm is blaring in the living room too. So it wasn't just my room. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening here too. And so at that point I'm like, okay, is it the entire hotel? Like, is it just our room? Like, is there maybe like a fire in our little section? What's going on? So I open up the door, and where we're at in the hotel, we can see like down the hallway. And so I open up the door and people are just like panicking in the hallway. Like they're coming out of their rooms, they're looking around, you know, everyone's sleepy in their pajamas and disoriented like me, and they're looking around and everyone's kind of panicked, like what's going on? The front desk isn't answering their phone, and you know, and what do we do? And it's like, okay, well, we got to get out. Like the alarm is blaring, like we're being evacuated. We've got to get out. And so I hurry and, you know, call back to my mom and Miles, and I'm like, we got to get out. And so, you know, my mom's getting him out of the bed, and we hurry and just slip on our shoes. I had Miles' jacket by the side of the door. I grab it. I don't grab anything else. I grab him and I'm carrying him out, and people are just like starting to flood the hallways and head for the exits. And so in the emergency exit, or like an emergency situation, you can't use the elevators. And so people are like not really rushing. Everyone was as organized as can be in that situation, but everyone was like starting to, you know, kind of squish through and try to head down the stairs. We're all trying to like head down the stairs, and the alarm is still blaring, and I didn't get any video of it because I was in panic, but I'm not thinking about like, oh, I need to film this. I'm like, I gotta get out right now because a tornado's here and I gotta get out. And does the hotel have a cellar? Like, where do we go? Like, how do we handle this? What are we gonna do? Oh my gosh. And so I didn't film anything, obviously, but like I wish I could explain how awful this alarm was. And in my mind, I was like, okay, well, is this a fire? But the alarm was so bad. I was like, this is even worse than just like a fire alarm. Like, this is insane. And it was just blaring. We're going down the hallways and we're going down the stairs, and the lights are flashing and the alarm's blaring and everyone's kind of panicking. And, you know, I think I'm looking around at everyone and they're just kind of like, gosh, like, what is this? And I think in everyone's mind at that point, people had gotten the tornado warning issue. And so I think in the back of everyone's mind, that's maybe what they were thinking is like a tornado. And so we're being evacuated. We're being, you know, taken downstairs. And as we're going outside, there's people just lined up all outside. And I'm like, well, we got to get in a cellar. We got to get in a basement. Like, what do we do? I don't know, tornadoes. And so we get outside, or like we're going outside, and then I see these officials like hurrying down the hall, and they're not firemen. And so I'm like, okay, I guess it's not a fire. Like maybe this really is happening right now. Oh, sorry, like my voice is like so shaky. I just felt like I'm gonna cry. It was just so scary. So I see these officials coming down, and they're wearing these like black jackets, and they come down and they're like, okay, everyone, like, I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, what are we gonna do? This is it. This is happening. And they're like, okay, everyone, like, take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. It was a false alarm. And everyone, the whole crowd was just like, like this audible relief. And we're like, what happened? What is going on? And they're like, well, we think that maybe there's some smoke in the laundry room, but you're okay. Oh my gosh, everyone was like that, like nervous, like, okay, we're okay. And we're all just kind of like, as we're like shaking and going up the stairs. And I look at my hands and I'm shaking, like full on, like, oh, it's just that adrenaline is pumping through me. Now, that's not it. That's not the end of like my night. So that's not it. But that was a little bit of a relief, I guess, in that moment. But that's not everything that happened. So we're all kind of like, okay. We're heading up the stairs. We're kind of slowly heading up the stairs, trying to get a grip. And we all get settled back in our rooms. Miles is now wide awake. He's wired. I'm just wired. I just have this huge like adrenaline rush going on. And I'm just just kind of shooken up. And I finally am able to calm myself down after like an hour to 2 hours. I don't know, but finally was able to calm myself down enough to go to sleep. And I'm like, okay, not a tornado. Like, it's not a tornado. We're not hiding in a cellar somewhere. We're going to be okay. So I calm myself down enough to fall asleep. And I'm falling asleep, and I'm still pretty shooken up. And in the back of my head, I still am thinking like, oh, a tornado could still come, because at this point it's starting to storm a little bit outside. It's starting to rain a little bit. And so I'm sleeping. I finally fall back asleep. And then at around 4:30 in the morning, so just after being asleep a couple of hours, I hear this crash. And again, I jolt out of bed and I'm like, what was that? Oh my gosh, at this point, what was that? And I hear this huge crash and this huge boom. And the first thing I think of with that crash, I hear this crash and I jolt out of bed and I'm like, the tornado it's ripping through the hotel. The tornado's here and it just exploded the windows and it's ripping out the hotel. I get up and now again, I'm all worked up and I'm like shaking and I look out the window and it is a huge, huge torrential downpour and a thunderstorm is going on. And the huge crash was lightning. So again, I'm like, oh, okay. Oh my gosh, it's just lightning. But it was such a loud crash. It woke my mom up too. And we both jolt like, what was that? What is happening tonight? And then at that point, we're shooken up, we're wide awake. It was one thing after another. We get a tornado warning before we go to bed, and we're like, oh my gosh, a tornado's coming. We are evacuated at midnight to a huge alarm. We're finally back asleep, and this huge crash wakes us up. It was just the worst, scariest night. Looking back, I'm like able to take a deep breath and be like, okay, it was a false alarm, and it was a strike of lightning and thunder. Like, I'm okay. That's not that big of a deal. I'm okay. But when you have tornado warning issued for Disney World, where you're at right now, in the middle of the night, it makes everything like 10 times worse, everything like 10 times more dramatic. And that's where your brain goes. So I'm a little shooken up this morning. We're up. I've been awake since like 4 because the lightning and thunder woke us up, and I've just been laying in bed watching that because I was so shooken up. But we're getting ready to go to Epcot. Hopefully we can have a relaxing day at Epcot. I can kind of do some yoga maybe for a minute, some meditation, and calm myself down a little bit because I'm like, my energy is still kind of anxious right now. So we are okay. We are fine. Everyone is fine. Everyone's safe. There was not a tornado. The loud crashing noise. Again, I thought, tornado is exploding the hotel. Tornado was not exploding the hotel. The crashing noise was just a bolt of lightning, and we are okay. So I'm going to Epcot, and I will hopefully come down and talk to you guys later. Have a good day. I hope you had a better night than I did. And if you have scary stories of like something that happened to you at Disney World or a theme park, let me know. Let me know I'm not alone in my scary night. Okay, bye. You guys are awesome.